Hello and welcome. In this video I want to show you how you can make your own WordPress website that looks as brilliant as this one. This website is as up-to-date as it could be in terms of web development technology. A professional web agency would charge you easily up to $10,000 for this. This website has all the nice elements that big and famous websites like Apple.com or Airbnb.com have as well. It has a transparent header, it has a logo up here, it has an amazing slider that shows different photos, and it has a call to action button in the middle. It has beautiful photos. It shows all the portfolio elements of the website. Really nice UI elements that you can play around with. Many buttons, more beautiful photos. And in the very bottom you have testimonials from happy customers, and you have such a beautiful Google Maps that shows the location of your business. It has also a beautiful footer with a contact form and some other nice social icons, widgets for example. Very beautiful elements on this website. I will show you how you can make all of this all by yourself from the very beginning until the website is entirely finished. You don't need to know any coding skills, no HTML, no CSS, nothing. It's going to be very easy and it's going to be a lot of fun. Now let's get started. To give you an overview of this tutorial, I created a brief outline for you. Now we only have about 4 steps to do, and actually the first one, the introduction, is already done. So you can be very lucky. The second step is get web hosting. Well, it is very important step, of course. And I need to tell you, you have to invest a little bit of money for that. But this is really important and is essential to get your website online. But also I show you every single step how to do it. The web hoster that I chose and that I really recommend to you is called Siteground. Now Siteground is a really special hoster because what they promise here, 24/7 technical support and 99% uptime, is really true. I can tell you, I have many websites already running on Siteground and I had never problems. These are really good. Now all the big hosters, whatever they're called, I don't want to talk bad about big hosters, don't always hold what they promise. Siteground, however, is a really professional hoster who tries to help you in case things go wrong. Now when you go to this website to choose your web hosting, you click, of course, on this very left button here. You click on web hosting and then you come to this website. Now I would be extremely happy if you could use the link in the description of this video, because I get a little bit of credit for making this video, but it doesn't cost you anything more. So when you come to this choice of web hosting here, you have 3 different kinds of package: Startup, Grow Big and Go Geek. Now, of course, the first thing you see is the price differences. So the startup is the cheapest one, and then it goes up to €11.95 per month. So you see a couple of attributes, a couple of things that I've written here. Where are the differences between all these packages? I just want to quickly summarize it for you. If you just want to have a small and one web page running on this web hosting package, then I really suggest you to take this startup. It's $3.95 a month. It's really not much, and you get a professional web hosting service where you can definitely get one website running on it. 10 GB is plenty for your website, don't worry about that. And the only difference to this big one is basically that you can run multiple websites on the same hosting. Only if you really want to grow a very big website where you're sure that you get very soon a lot of visits, then I would recommend you to take the big one. But in most of the cases, the small one, or maybe sometimes the medium package, would be totally suitable for you. Okay, now I want to guide you through all the steps that you have to do to get this web hosting running for you. And for our website, I choose this startup package. So you click on Get Started. And in the next step, you choose a domain for your website. So I don't have a domain for this website so far. So one domain, by the way, is included into your web hosting anyway. So this is a very brilliant option here. And the name that I'm going to choose is first of all a .com domain, and the name, it will be overyacht.com. Now the system will tell you if you click on proceed if the domain is still available. Now let's see. And it says congratulations, the domain is still available for free registration with your hosting account. Very, very easy. Now you have to put in all your personal information, which I will do very quickly now. Alright, and then you have to decide whether you want to use it personally or as a business. So I decide as a personal use here. And in the next step, you enter a password. Of course, you will not be able to see my password. And here you have to add, of course, your payment information. I will choose to pay by credit card, and I will just quickly fill out this information. Okay, and further below, you can choose what period you want to pay initially for. So whether it's just 1, 2, or 3 years. And you can also decide to set up the account for only 1 month. But then you have to pay an additional 12 euro to set the account up. So this is not too reasonable priced. I will just go for 12 months here. And if you scroll a little bit below, you have 2 more options to add additional services to. One is this domain privacy, and one is this hack alert monitoring. Well, it is not too expensive, but to be honest, I don't recommend it for you here. With this choice that I just made, I get a total result of 56.41 euro, which is for an entire year of web hosting. So I think this is quite reasonable price for a professional web hosting here. And then I just click on pay. Okay, and if everything went successful, then you come to this screen where it says your order was successfully submitted. Sometimes it also says your account has been successfully created. Anyway, that's both the same, and that's very positive. And by now, very soon after the registration, you should have received a couple of emails in your email account, and one of them, it's saying order confirmation. It says dear Jonas Schindler, for example, and then you get a couple of login information which are very important for us. So the first thing is the username, which is abbreviated from your domain that you registered, and the second one is the password that you used when you created the account. So then there is a button, log into customer area, and yeah, when you click on that, you directly get sent to this screen, and here you can enter all your information. Of course, this was without the T, and I enter my password. Hopefully it is correct. Yes, it is. And then you get to this screen, and yeah, you can say here, thanks, but I don't need help, because it is not too difficult anyway. Or you can also say, remind me, set up later. Anyway, I just click on proceed here. It's not important. All I want to do is to get to this screen, which is basically the dashboard of your Siteground account. It is quite helpful to become a bit familiar with this layout. Anyway, one of the very important things for you is the support. In case you need help, you need technical assistance for something, all you have to do is click on the support tab here, and then you have access to many resources from support for your hosting. So one way to get answers is either to search for a specific term here, but that can be a bit confusing because you might get a lot of results. Another very helpful way is to open a personal support ticket. So you just click on this button here. Then you have to choose from a couple of these categories which falls your technical or your problem in. And then you get answer in usually maximum 24 hours. Another very, very helpful way for you to get assistance in any of your problems is this live chat function. You just click on this button here, and then again you have to choose from one of these categories where your problem falls in. And then you immediately, or at least within a very few minutes, get connected to a personal assistant from the Siteground team, and they will help you with your problem. Now let's continue with our WordPress installation, or let's start our WordPress installation actually. So one thing we can actually do, we go back to our list here, to our overview, and we can say get web hosting is checked. That's done. So continue with the WordPress installation. For this, we change to the tab My Accounts. Oh, actually, before we continue here, one thing which is very important. You might have received, or you definitely have received another email which is called verification required, and then you have a couple of links. You have to click on this second one where it says approve domain admin. So you have to click on that, and it is important that you register your domain that you selected and verify your information. So all you have to do is click on this button. And now it has been verified. So this is very important to do that. You will get daily emails that remind you of actually doing it. So please remember to do that. Okay, now let's go back to our SiteGround here. And in the My Account tabs, as I said before, we just go on this red button here where it says Go to cPanel. So the cPanel, so here we just say proceed because, yeah, we want to access the cPanel securely. And the cPanel is actually the real dashboard that you are going to use a lot if you want to do things around URL, about redirection, HTXs, quite complicated things, but don't worry. Actually, the most important thing you use it for now is to install the WordPress. So all we have to do is, you already see it here in the auto installer section, click on WordPress icon, and then you get to this screen. Now here, this is just the overview of the WordPress. You get some information you can read. It says how much space it will take from your entire space available. So it's just 18 megabytes. That's very, very little, of course. And then you click on install. And on this screen, you really don't have to change a lot. You just leave all the stuff that is selected already here like it is. So it just says it uses the HTTP protocol and it uses this domain because, of course, with this account, we only have one domain so far. In case you later on have more than one, you have to select the domain you actually want to use for the website now. And directory, we also leave it blank unless we want to install WordPress in a subdirectory of our web space. We just leave it like it is. And this one just concerns the database settings. This is a table prefix, what is actually used when the WordPress database is created inside inside the web space. And of course, you can change here the site name. You can change this later on in your WordPress installation anyway. Our site name for this project is now Overyard. Beautiful yards to rent. We can just change it later on. This was just really out of the blue for me. Okay, and then in the admin account, of course, you have to select a username, which is in my case just Jonas. And as a password, I use Overyard 1 2 3 4, then exclamation mark. Maybe, I think that's strong enough. It says strong. And the admin email, I just put my email address in here. The language should be English, exactly. And yeah, under advanced options, you actually you can change the database name, but I also leave it like it is. We could also just call it WordPress because it will be the only database on this web space that is used for WordPress, but I just leave it like this. Okay, and then you click on install. Now you see this progress bar, and it might take a moment, and I just skip ahead a little. Okay, that was very quick, and then you get this message which says congratulations, everything has been successfully amazing. And you also received an email which says okay, you installed WordPress on your Siteground hosting account, and yeah, they also show your the login details again that you just created. Okay, and then you already get two links. One is, of course, your website, which is probably not available so far, or it actually is. This is the default look of our website. This is just the very plain theme that is that comes with WordPress. And the second link is much more important for us. This is useful for us to log into our WordPress account. So all we have to do is here to enter our login details, which is Jonas, and then Overyard 1 2 3 4 exclamation mark. And here we go. This is the WordPress dashboard. So WordPress has been installed successfully already. And you know what that means? we can check off one more point in our overview here. So there's only one more thing left to do, and this is making the brilliant website. Alright, let's get started with this. So the first thing that we are going to do is to get a theme to transform the basic appearance of our website into a very beautiful one. So I already picked a theme for us here, and you can download that from the website themeforest.net. It is a premium theme. That means you have to pay $59 for a license to use it on your website, but I think this is a more than fair price for what you get. Yeah, again, I have a link in the description and also as an annotation in this video here where you can easily get to this website, and then you can buy a license. And again, if you buy this theme, I get a little bit of credit if you do it via this link, and I would be very, very thankful if you do that. Now, what is so special about this theme? It looks fantastic, it looks really, really good, and it's from this producer's Absolution. It's a really great producer of amazing themes, and well, what is especially great about these themes are not only all these amazing design features here, but also all the elements that come with the theme itself. Usually you sometimes have only a theme for WordPress itself, but with this theme you get a ton of these visual elements that you can readily use in your website. So especially two arguments are really, really important for this theme. One, the Visual Composer, which itself costs $28, it's already included in this theme. This is really, really, really good because the Visual Composer is one of the best page builders that you can find for WordPress. I tell you later or in a second more about that, and I show you exactly how you use this Visual Composer. And another amazing argument is that the Slider Revolution, which also itself costs $18 if you would just buy it individually, is already included in this theme. This is really, really fantastic. So you don't have to depend on any additional premium plugins if you buy this theme, which is really not the case in most of the other cases. So this is a really, really good suggestion. But of course, you can just choose any other theme. There are also lots of free themes available for WordPress. Have a look yourself, but this is really a safe bet. Anyway, I already downloaded this theme to my computer, and what I'm going to do now is to add it to my WordPress installation. So you go to Appearance and then Themes, and here at the top you go to Add New. So you could either search for free themes in the WordPress directory and stuff, or you could just upload a theme when you downloaded this one from this Themeforest website. So I'm going to select the file that I downloaded already to my computer. I actually saved it in my Google Drive, and I have a little bit of a folder here, and inside there is one zip file. This is the zip file that you directly download from the website, and you have to extract that one first. You get a folder, this is called Product, and then you have all these files in there. So these two zip files are the important ones. You cannot just upload this big zip file. You first have to extract it once, and then you first select the sapphire.zip and click on Open and on Install Now. And then you get this screen which says theme installed successfully. Alright, and then you go back to the themes page because we have to add another one. Well, it's not an additional theme, but it's the child theme of the theme that we just installed. So as with a lot of free themes, you don't have to create the child theme yourself. It just comes with the theme you purchased before. And this is also installed successfully, and then you can click on Activate, because actually the child theme is the one we want to activate. If you don't know what a child theme is, you can say it's just the copy of a few files of the original theme that you keep additionally to the original theme folder. And the purpose of having a child theme is basically just to make customizations to the original theme and to keep those customizations even if you update the theme. So at the moment we have the update 2.2. This is the version of the Zephyr theme. But in the future it's very, very important and necessary to update this theme. But if you wouldn't use a child theme, all the customizations of your appearance and many personal things on your website could be overwritten by the update. So to prevent that, it's always important to use a child theme. So now you know what that is for. Alright, so if you installed all successfully, you get to this screen and you get an additional menu item in your WordPress menu here. It's called Zephyr. So you get, for example, this theme options here, which is another sign for a very, very good premium theme. You have tons of options here to customize your website very easily, but I don't want to rush through all of these things. We will use a couple of those later on when we start building our website, but let me just quickly introduce you to a couple of these things. Another very important menu item here is install plugins, and this is where you can actually install your Visual Composer and the Slider Revolution, as well as the add-ons for the Visual Composer itself. So you could just select all of them and then say install, and then you click on apply, and if all went well, you come to this screen which says everything has been successfully. Let's have a look. If we click here, how our website looks at the moment. It still has some default content here. We didn't create that, but it's just there as demo. But what we can see is that there is already a quite professional header section with place for a logo, and there is already a search functionality here. Of course, we don't have much content, and we have a default sidebar. Now, let's go back to the WordPress dashboard. And let's start creating our first page, the start page. If we look at the finished website that I created earlier, then we can use this as a guidance how we want to start. The first thing that I want to do is create this image section. Now this is a slider, as I showed you earlier. And what I want to do now at the beginning, because the slider implementation itself can take some time, it is a bit confusing, especially for beginners. So what I want to do is I just implement a static image first, where there is a call to action button and some text on it. And then I first create all this content of the start page first, and then later on in the end I will change the static picture to a slider. Alright, so let's go first to the page section and let's create a new page. We call it home because this will be the home page. And then these little elements here at the top are used to work with the Visual Composer. This little icon here is from the Visual Composer. So what we want to do is we work with the backend editor. So you click on this and now it says classic mode. You could change to the classic mode, but this is not what we want to do. And this is the first view we have from the Visual Composer if there is no content. So all we have to do is click on add element, and then you have a bunch of elements here available. This is a big library also because we have this additional Visual Composer elements that we installed as a plugin that came with the theme. But what we want to do first is to create a row, because with the Visual Composer you create a number of rows and then add further content to each of the rows. So if you look back to this website, this is one row, then there is another row and so on. So this row design makes it quite easy to understand how this website is actually built up. Okay, so for this first row, I want to have an image that takes up the entire width of the screen or of the website. So I will need image resources from that, and I prepared already the resources that I'm going to need. I have lots of photos of nice little yachts and stuff. And yeah, I actually got them from a website that is called Shutterstock, which is an amazing website where you can get all kinds of resources that you need for websites, for all kinds of web design. Of course, this website is not free. You actually have to pay a lot to get an account on this website, and then for a limited time you have access to thousands and millions of image resources that you can use. However, if you don't want to spend much money on images, there are lots of free options available. One is pexels.com. It looks very similar and you have access to many image resources as well, but with the difference that these are free. So if you just want to start off, if you just want to make a small personal website, then this is, for example, a very good place to go for you to get amazing image resources for you. Okay. So what is important to keep in mind, just as a side note, if you use the photos, make sure they're not too big. So I compressed and prepared these resources well before I bind them into my website. So if you look at those here, these are not too big, maximum 200 kilobyte big, because you have to imagine if a user goes to your website and the website first has to be cached, so all the resources has to be downloaded, and if the images are too big, then it takes some time and it slows your website down, and this would be a very bad experience for your users. So make sure you prepare the resources well. And yeah, I prepared a couple of them for the slider, and only one of them will be used for the image in the top for now, because as I said, the slider will be implemented later on. Okay, so you click on this little pen of this row that I implemented, and then if you scroll down, you can already see background image. I click on this little plus, and then I can import resources to my WordPress. You can click on selects, files, and on downloads, and I have prepared a folder here which is called website resources slider, and then I pick this picture. Okay, and yeah, you can give it some titles, some names. We don't want to do that for now. I just say set image, and then there are a couple of options we need to check. For example, full width content. You say stretch content of this row to the screen width. This is exactly what we want to do. And also what we want to do is the row height should be no paddings, because otherwise we had weird wide gaps on top and on the bottom of this image. So we just click on save changes and say save draft to save our page. Okay, next we have to add some content to this row, because even if there is a background image, it would not be visible because the row height would be 0. So what we want to add here at first is a call to action element. I just enter here, call, or just action box is actually called in the Visual Composer, and I select this one. And the title of the action box should be the highest of traveling. And the action box text should then say treat your soul in the most exclusive way life has to offer, like it is written here as well. I already copied it from a note and just pasted it in here. Okay, and the button itself, the default is click me, should actually say get on board. And then the button location should be at the bottom of the action box, and this color style should actually be custom colors, because there should be no colors. So I just leave this clear and click on save changes. Now so far the row with the background image would also just be as high as the action box, but we also want to have some more space at the top and some space at the bottom of the action box. So what we have to add here is another element that is just called empty space. So it is doing what you might expect. So all it does, it adds some extra space to a certain row. So we can play around with the values here a little bit. I will just try to give it 200 pixels. If we have a look at the slider image that I used, it's 620 pixels high. So if it should be about in the middle or a little bit lower than the middle, that means on top of the action box is a little bit more space than on the bottom. I just try maybe only with 150 pixel, and at the bottom there should be something similar. I can just duplicate this empty space element by clicking on this little button here. It says clone empty space. So, and then I can just drag it wherever I want in the same row. And the space at the bottom should maybe a bit less. So I will try to go with 100 pixel and save changes. And then I preview the web page by clicking on preview. Okay, and here we have already our slider image. We have the text and we have the button. Now we see one thing here that we don't want, or actually two things. One, the text is black and we want it to be white, so that's easy to change. And the home title here should disappear. Now we go back to our page then, and we select the action box again. And we say the text color should be white. So you can either just select it here from this square, or you can just click on any of these buttons here. You can also just enter your custom hexa code of the color you want to have the text in. Okay, I save this. And then I want to remove the title bar on this page. So here in the section where it says title bar options, I just click on this and say hide title bar. Then I click on preview again and have a look how it looks. And yeah, what we can see is that the space and the title disappeared from the top, and the color is white. So it looks already quite the same way as we wanted. I just leave it like this for now, and I will take care of some of the general settings, some of the general stylings like the navigation, because this purple looks really, really nice, and I would like to keep this purple in general as the page color. But what I want to do is to make this navigation bar transparent, because this gives a really fashionable, really, really nice effect, and this is very easy, especially with this Zephyr theme that I chose. So we navigate to the theme options. All we have to do is hover on the Zephyr button here and then go to theme options. Okay, it asked me actually to confirm the navigation, so I just say stay on page, and first I save this draft, otherwise our settings would be overwritten or not be saved. I rather save it before, and then I go to the theme options. Okay, in the theme options I go to the header options, and I just select transparent header. This is easy, right? So I click on save changes. Okay, and before we actually visit our website to have a look at our new header, there's one more thing left to do that we have to do. So we return to our page section and just click on quick edit. So the status of this page is still in draft. So that means it will not be actually visible online. So I click on published and just update it. And now if we want to set this page as the static homepage when we visit our website, we have to go to settings and then reading. And the default option here is the front page displays your latest posts. And because we don't want to create a blog website here, we want to show a static page, and that should be our homepage. And we don't have any post page, so we just leave it as it is here. And then we click on save changes. And now if we want to visit our website, all we have to do is click here, and I just open it in a new tab. And what do we see here? We see our background image with the action box and the transparent header. Of course, we still don't have a menu, so it's not too attractive, but we can already see how amazing this transparent header looks, because there is no border at the top of the screen. Of course, we see this little black bar here, and this is only because we are in the editing mode. We are logged into WordPress, but if we just open an incognito window and then go to our website, we can see how it looks online to anybody else. So there is no bar. This is seamlessly just a picture on the top and on the left and on the right. This looks really, really beautiful. Okay, so let's go back to editing. So the next thing that I want to do is to add a logo on the left of our navigation bar here, where it just says logo. You could just add any text to it. We go to theme options here, but I want to have a image as the logo. So as I said, you can just say overyard here, and yeah, it would just display this text on the left side. You can change the text size and also the color and stuff, but I want to have a professional image. Well, not too professional. I just prepared a little simple logo, and you can select it here from the set image again, and then I upload it to my WordPress media files, and it is in the same folder. Okay, it's somewhere else. It's on the yard stocks here, and here we go. I have a little logo. I have actually two different ones, one with a slightly bolder text, and I decide for this one. Make sure it's also very, very little, maximum 5 kilobyte, that it doesn't waste any space on your website, and it's still very, very fast. So I just click on set image, and in the transparent header you can select a different one, but you could also just select the same one, and I will just select the same one for now. I click on save changes and review the website, and now we have a quite beautiful but a very simple logo up here. Alright, so if you want to have your own logo for your website, of course you could just design it yourself, but if you wanted to have it a little bit easier, there's another great website where you can get free logos. It's called Logo Maker with kr.com, and yeah, you can just search for any graphics, or you can just click on browse all logos, and then you have a huge collection of sample logos that you could just download and change and yeah, use for your website. So whatever you find here and that might fit to your website, you could use. So just have a look yourself. Okay, let's continue working on our start page. And yeah, we go back to pages and edit the home page that we created. And what we do next is add a new row to our Visual Composer. So all we have to do is click on this big plus, not the small one, because with the small one you just add more elements to the same row, which has the background image. But what we want to do is add a new row. So just click on row, and in this row we add a text block here. So the text that we want to add here is called Enjoy Quality Services. It is aligned center, and it is, if you click on this toolbar toggle, you can see it's a header 2. So that means it's a little bit bigger than the normal paragraph text. And I just click on Save Changes. And in the same row, I add another row. So now we have a nested row, and this has a couple of advantages, because this whole row should be one column, but this inner row should actually be 3 columns. So you have these little icons here that show you different column styles. So you can also add a custom row style, but this is not what we want to do now. We want 3 equally sized columns. Okay, and now we can add elements to each of these columns. What I want to add here is actually an icon box. So I search here for icon and add this icon box. And icon boxes are really cool elements. So if we go back to our finished demo website, we can see here these little icon boxes. So what icon boxes are is basically you have a little icon, any icon that you wish, and then a little header and a little text to describe any of your services, any of the reasons one should choose your business. Okay, so at the first we want to add a little star and then this text here. Okay, so the star is already the default, which I leave like this, and the icon position leaves top, and the title is specialty, and the text is blah blah blah. Our services are exceptional and cannot be found anywhere else. The rest of the options also stay as they are. We click on Save Changes. Okay, and the next icon is the diamond here, and the last one is this icon here. Okay, so all I want to do is duplicate this icon box twice, and yeah, change the text here. So if you want to add different icons than the star to such an icon box, you have 2 websites suggested. So you can go to this Font Awesome website, and you have many icons that you could use, and you can even change for them. So we want to have a diamond. Okay, and here we have the diamond. So all we have to do here is write in diamond like it is written here, because yeah, this is the name you actually have to add here for any icon that you wish to add here. So the next one we actually want to put here is balance scale. We can keep that in mind, and the text of this icon box should be outstanding quality. The title and the main text is your satisfaction is our highest priority. Okay, and the same for all the other settings. And here we say balance minus scale. All the colors will be the same. We can also adjust that, but we don't want to do that at the moment. Actually, I'll just copy this one. And here is tradition as the title. I save it and I update the website. And now our website has this amazing icon boxes here and also the title. Okay, so what I actually haven't mentioned so far is the whole purpose of this website, of this rather imaginary website. But what it should actually be is a yacht rental business. So people could just possibly rent a yacht from this business and have a good time for a couple of days or weeks, however they like. And what I actually want to add here as a next element should be such a tab element where you can choose from two kinds of yachts. And of course, I already implemented it here. So the customer could choose to rent motor yachts or sailing yachts. And this is a very nice UI element that moves a lot. And yeah, and depending on which one he chooses, he can have a look at the entire fleet of either sailing yachts or motor yachts. So we will add a new row to this element, and inside this row we add the tab element. So just here tabs, and we want these tabs to stretch the entire width. So we edit this row where the tab element is in and just check this box. Okay, and to edit the tab headers here, for example, we have to edit this section. So we have one section here and one section here, and this general section editings we can do in this element here. So the first one should be motor yachts, and the second one should be sailing yachts. So I write this in here, save it, and now we can add more elements to each of these sections. So what I want to do is add a new row inside this section and want to make it 2 columns. So in the left column I want to add a picture, and in the right column I want to add a action box. Okay, so on the left side I just add a single image, and I select the image with this plus and upload a new file from my directory. So I'll go back to this folder that I had earlier, website resources, and it should be the motor yacht small image that I selected here. It's also quite small, it's just 50 kilobyte, and then I set the image, and it should be the full size. This is important here, otherwise it tries to stretch it or put it as a thumbnail or anything like this. So it's important to have the full size and also to align it center. We leave the rest as it is and click on Save Changes. The right element, as I said, should be an action box. Okay, I found it here. And the text of the action box is as a title, this one. And as a text, I just copy this one in. So the colors should be primary background and white text. That's correct. And the button location should be at the bottom. And the button link we change later on. So the label should say "See the fleet." Okay, I have it all capitalized. And the button size should be probably medium, and we could also potentially add another icon to it. So I show you just for a second how that looks. I preview our page, and there you go, you have this icon here. But actually what happened now is that we have this primary background and white text. This is actually not what I wanted, so I just added this action box again and say custom colors. The text color should be just black, and the background color is clear. And I actually also don't want any icon on it. Okay, you can even add a second button to it, which is then aligned horizontally to the other one, but we also don't want to do this now. Okay, let me update the page. And now the page looks like this. And we do the same thing now for the Sailing Yachts tab. So we added the second section here, add a row. I do it a little bit quicker because it's nothing else than we just did, but the image goes now in the right side. And I select an image. And this time it's the sailing yacht. I set the image, set the size to full size, and align its center. I save it and add a action box. Okay, and the text of the second action box will be gliding across all oceans. And this one should go in here. And again, custom colors, the text should be dark and a clear background, and the button should be at the bottom. Okay, the bottom itself, the button should say again, see the fleet, and the rest should be okay. Alright, that should be that for this row. Okay, let's close this and let's close this. Let's clean up a little bit with our tabs here. And let's reload the page. And here we go. Nice tab elements that we really quickly implemented to our page. And now we can actually see also something else that was not possible before. So as long as we stay at the very top of the page, the navigation bar is transparent. But as soon as we scroll down a little, you can see that it takes a color and becomes solid. That's a really, really nice effect. But you can also adjust this if you don't like it. You can change, of course, the color. You can change the width of it. And later on, when we add menu items to it, they will be in this navigation bar. We can see that here is a little bit of too much white space between these two rows. Let us quickly adjust that a little. So I go in the settings of this row where the tab elements are located in, and yeah, go into the options, and then where it says row height, it says at the moment medium paddings, and we can just go to no paddings, and this should actually change that. If we go back, yeah, it is a lot less white space. That looks much better. Okay, so as a next element, as a next row here, I just want to add a full width action box with little text, just as a little one-line text, and then a button. I will also put this in a separate row. So all I do here is add a new row, and in this row an action box. Where is it now? Oh, it's here. It's always somewhere else, right? Okay. And the text or the title should be Over Yacht, Where Your Adventure Starts. And this time I really want to have the button on the right. And the button text should say, Convince Yourself. It should be raised. That should have the primary color. And here again, the whole action box should have no background color, and the text should be dark in that case, or just black. I think all of the other options are fine. So let's have a look how that looks. I think it looks alright. We can leave it, but again, maybe a little bit too much white space here. So we can either just go to yeah, I would say small paddings is a good choice here. Quickly preview it again. Yeah, this is better. Let's leave it like this. Okay, so the next element, we add a new row. And this row should be, again, 2 columns. And now we do something tricky. So on the left side, there should be an image that should take the entire width of that column. And on the right, there's a couple of text and a couple of buttons, like usual. Okay, so what we can do is just edit this column. Instead of adding a single image like we did here in the top, we just edit this column and set a background to the entire column. So we click here on this plus, and select a new file, or rather upload a new file. I want to have this image, so it's entirely square, 664 by 664 pixels, and I set the image. The rest we do like it is. And as before, in the first row where we added the background image to the entire row, it is not visible, or this image was not visible until we added elements to the row itself. Okay, so actually also the first thing that I want to change here is to stretch the content to the entire screen width. And then we add, for example, an empty space at the beginning. Empty space, and the height of it should be about, let's go for 500 pixel. Maybe 300 should be enough. Let's try out with 300 and preview our page. Okay, it is too short as we see here, but that doesn't matter because I wanted to see whether it reaches to the left here, and yeah, whether it's enough. So 300 is not enough. That's okay to know. And there's one more thing that we notice. It doesn't reach until the 50% line here. So what I mean is this picture doesn't take up 50% of the entire page, which it should do. So this is also good to know because we have to change one more setting here. And also, yeah, this white space to the top is a little bit too little. We also can change that quite easily. It is both at the same place here. So first we want to have the row height with no paddings again, and we want to have the gaps layout here with boxed and without gap. So this boxed layout only concerns the content of the column, which is not important because it's invisible anyway. And actually what I want to do is now get rid of this empty space again, because yeah, the picture should be as high as the content of the right column. So in the right column we add some text, and I will copy the text from the sample page here that I created, and no, that was the wrong button. Copy, and then just add it in here. It should be aligned center. After that comes a short horizontal line, so I just end this separator. I think the separator size is small, and we can also have a little nice option here. This is an icon. I didn't have that in a demo page, but I put a star in between the line that looks quite nice as well. Now afterwards we do a little bit of a tricky thing again. Instead of adding normal elements, we add another row as we did earlier, similar, and this row should also be 2 columns. So in each of the columns there should be an icon box again, and the icon this time is called bullseye. This is the circle icon. And the text of the icon boxes should be professional service, and if you book with us, blah 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 blah. Okay, the rest is alright, I guess. Let's duplicate this icon box, and sometimes the visual composer is a little bit confusing here. And here we just change the text to 24 hotline. 24 hours hotline. So of course a good argument for the customers. And here also bullseye. That should be fine. The icon position is top. Alright, let's save the changes. And the layout of this row should be medium gaps or large gaps. I think this is both okay, and that should look fine. So let's have a look on the page. I preview it, and if we then look at our element, it looks brilliant in my opinion. So what I want to do next is to kind of have the same element in the next row, but where the picture is on the right side and the text is on the left side. So I create a new row. And again, I go a little bit faster than before. I add a background image to the right side. upload a new file. This time it should be this one. It's also square. And it's the same size as the image that I used before. I don't put any empty space in here because we know now how it works. So we add a text block on the top again. And in here we add some of this sample text again. We align it center. We add a separator. Add a star icon. Make the length small. And then an action box. Here it is. This is the title. And this is the text. So the colors are the same as before. Just dark text and clear background. And the button should be at the bottom. And actually what I want to do is, the first button should say book now. And there should be a second button also at the bottom. And that says see details. And the color should be different, and it already says here in the first one it's primary color, and then the second one it says secondary color. So it automatically adjusts the color here. We again edit the row settings. We make the content stretch the entire width, and then the row height should be no paddings, and the content should be boxed and without gaps. So we save it. And when we now preview the page, we can see this amazing feature with these two images that meet here right in the middle. And we can see that it's just a really fancy, amazing feature that looks so professional. Here we have these two buttons. Of course, they are not linked to any pages, but that's not the point. That's very easy to add. We can just add a link to any page that we want to add very, very easily. But this front page already looks so great. Okay, now the next element that we add now to our start page will be another row, and there will be two more elements. The first one is again a text block, very simple, and we just replace it with a header like this: over the partner for your ocean endeavor. Now this would be again, of course, centered, and the color should be dark. And in the same row, because this is just the header for the next element that we add here, will be another row, because we want to separate this in a couple of more elements. We will make this quarter rows. We have 4 little columns in here, quarter columns actually what I wanted to say, and in here we will add counter elements. We already see this here, and this is one very fun and easy element that we can just enter any numbers here. So what it will do is, as soon as you enter the page, it will start counting from this number up to this number, and you see the numbers counting. And yeah, you can just add any title for the counter that will appear below the number. And I will just say here, happy customer. So I pretend our website, our business had 375 happy customers. Now the number size should be medium. Here comes another S afterwards. And the color should be a custom color, because all I want to have it is it's black. Okay, and yeah, we leave the rest like it is, and we just duplicate this a couple of times, because then we don't have to create new counters for all of these columns. So we just drag them in here, and there we can customize them easily. Okay, oopsie, this was wrong. It now appeared here in the top. This is not what we wanted. Easily changeable. And the last one in the last column. Okay, wrong again. Right, now let's change the second one. And in here the number will be 24 stunning boats, of course. We are a yacht business, and it's already the same color as the one before. The next one will be from 0 to 19 years of experience. This is always positive. And the last number will be of course, 100%. This is interesting now. Satisfaction, because all our customers were satisfied with the service, so we can enter a prefix or a suffix. So we don't put this in the number field here, but we can, for example, put I don't know, a dash or something before that. But what we want to have is %, because 100% of our customers were very, very happy that they used our service. Let's have a look how that appears on our website. We go down and we see Overyo, the partner for your ocean endeavor, and you saw these numbers appearing. Very beautiful, of course. The colors can be adjusted. These are all samples. You can adjust everything to your liking very easily. Okay. The next row should display testimonials of our successful customers, of our happy customers, that has the purpose of convincing new customers of the quality of our service. Now, this is what every business needs, and we have just the right element in the Visual Composer for this, which is called testimonial. Very beautiful. I just copy this, of course, original testimonial from my web page and just paste it in here. And we have, either can make it as a card style or as a flat style. I just leave it as a card style because that looks quite nice. And the happy customer of us is called John Show. I think this is already the default name here. And he should not have an author subtitle. But we could just add a date to it and put it here in the back. Okay, and the same we need twice, so I just duplicate it, as you know already, and I just drag it into the next column. And we just leave it as it is because the content is not too important anyway for this demo website. Okay, and the last thing that I want to do for this row is to add a background picture to it. And this also will get a very nice additional effect. I need one more picture. I think this is what we need to use for this. And yeah, it is also about 664 kilobytes pixels actually high. And this is actually bigger than we want the row to be. And we can apply a very nice parallax effect to it. And we say it should be a vertical parallax, and it should be a reverse vertical parallax. So this looks really, really good. The last thing that I also want to do is stretch the content of the entire row to the screen width, as we usually do, that we don't have this boxed layout. And then I preview it. Hopefully everything is already as I expected. And yes, we have this beautiful parallax, if you know what I mean. So the background moves in the opposite direction of my scroll direction. And yeah, we actually want to apply a box layout to the content of the rows here. Of the columns, actually. And so yeah, what we need to do here, not the paddings, but here boxed and without gaps. Save it, and now it should look fantastic. Yes, it is. So it is a bit too large actually, but I think we can even leave it like this. I think it looks fantastic because this wonderful parallax effect just have a really good and fancy effect for this website. One of the best features of this website I haven't even introduced to you, and this is the full responsiveness of this website. So what happens if you decrease the size of this browser window, then you can simulate what would happen if a person would view this website on a mobile device. You can see what happens. It looks just still amazing. Everything is responsive, and even if you look it on an iPad or something, it would look about like this. Really, really responsive. You don't have to take care of this at all. It almost looks perfect. Here a little bit too much white space. These are the little details we could take care of if we work on this website for a bit more time, but in general it shows barely any problems when watched on a mobile device. So this is a really amazing feature of this Zephyr theme as well. So the last element that we want to add to our website is a Google map. So we just add a new row, and in this row we add a Google map element of the Visual Composer. So you have two choices: either you'd use this Google Maps or you use this Google map. Now you can play around with the differences yourself. They're slightly different, but they are both useful. I'm used to work with this element, so I will choose this one. The height of our element should be 400 pixels. And further below we have to add values for latitude and longitude for a certain location in Google Maps where our business is located. So to find out the coordinates of your business, you have to go to Google Maps, and in Google Maps you just enter the location of your business. In our case, let's pretend it's Saint-Tropez in France at the Côte d'Azur. So I just enter this name into Google Maps, and anywhere where our business should be located, I right click on the map and say what is here. Now this is German in my case, but don't worry, I think you understand what you mean. And here at the bottom you see these coordinates for this location. So you just copy them and you go back to WordPress and you enter the coordinates here. And I will do this for both of them: altitude or latitude and longitude. And then the map zoom can be adjusted to any number of your liking. Now I will select 14. And if you go back to Google Maps and just close this sidebar here and you zoom in and out, you have this Z value here. Now at the moment it says 14 point something, and if you go out it says 11 and so on, and now we are on zoom level 8. So you can easily see and adjust what zoom level you want to use to be displayed on your map. So you can make it from far away, then you just enter a value of 12 or 13. Or if you wanted to have it really close, and that sometimes makes more sense for a local business, even if you want to be able to see the street here, then you can add something like 16. So I decided to use something like 14. So I add 14 here in the map. And then I also want to check this feature here. It says disable map zoom on mouse wheel scroll. Now this really makes sense because of course when you enter a website and you scroll with your mouse, and once you enter this Google map it would immediately zoom in here, and now this is not very user friendly. We want to check this off, that it's disabled. And we will leave the rest of the options like they are. Click on Save Changes, and the last things we want to do with this row element is to of course stretch the content to the entire screen width, and also to get rid of the row height padding. So we select no paddings and click on Save Changes. If we preview then our new Google Map element, it looks fantastic. And yeah, when we scroll now, we don't zoom in, but of course you could still move the mouse here, and there are many more options to display these zoom elements from the Google Maps here. And yeah, you can just play around with this feature yourself. So we've been talking over half an hour about how to make this brilliant start page, and I think it really looks fantastic. So I think we can consider it as finished, and we should concentrate on some further elements of this website, because in total the website is far from finished. There is no menu, there is no real footer, there is just some weird text here. So let's continue with some of the more general settings here. Fortunately, before anything else, we have to update the page, otherwise our settings are not saved. But yeah, fortunately for most of the things we want to change for the general settings now, this theme and also WordPress comes in very handy. So it delivers us with lots of easy little tools. So let's first take care of the footer, because that one will be visible on all of the pages that we're going to be implement. And we have here in the appearance and in the widget sections a couple of very easy options. So you already see these fields here: first, second, and third footer widget. The fourth one will not be too relevant for us. And it is already filled here with some crap. We want to get rid of this. We don't need these meter things. This is not all very interesting. A search function is nice, but actually we want to have some different things here. Now you see here on the left, it is Absolution social links. Now this is really, really great. This comes in with the Zephyr theme. And yeah, we want to place them in the first widget. Now, we could give it a title, but we don't want to do that. We just enter some random information. Actually, it doesn't matter, because as soon as there is something in the settings, these social icons will be displayed, and we want to display a couple of them. One is the email, Facebook, Twitter, maybe Google Plus as well. Then we have 4. That is enough, I would say, and then we can already close this. We first click on save maybe, and then close it. And before that, we also want to have some text. Maybe you can also click on this just and say add to the first widget. And here we can say random text, and yeah, we could also just copy something from here. So all we want to do is fill it with some sensible content, but also don't waste too much time on it, because all I want to do is show you these amazing social links, and I will drag them on the second position like it is here as well. So for the second footer widget, we will also just do some sample text, and don't want to waste any time there. We just say recent posts, although we don't have any posts, but of course, to be fair, I think most people are already familiar with most of the posting and blogging functions of WordPress. So I want to concentrate on some of the more exclusive and fancy features here. Now in the third footer widget, we want to add something more special, and we need a special plugin for that. So we go to the plugin section. It might be familiar with some of you already. It is a very popular and famous plugin. It's called Contact Form 7. Here it is, and I will search for it. It is a free plugin, and it is really amazing. I just quickly install and activate it. You click on Activate Plugin here, and then it is activated, and it is here. Now you find a new menu here in your WordPress. I think you first have to go to, yeah, you have here the contact forms, and you can click on Add New. You can just say Add New. And now you have this field, so don't worry, don't get confused, but it is very, very simple. All it is here, it says you have a field that says your name, and it is required. Your email, it is required, a subject and message, and submit. Now I don't want a subject. This is too much, otherwise the contact form would be a bit too long. Okay, we have it here, but also I think it's too long. So all I want to have is a name, an email, and the message, and the button, the submit thing here. So we leave it as it is, and we just click on save. Maybe we still have to give it a title, and I just call it Form 1, because this will not be displayed anywhere anyway. And then we receive this amazing shortcode. So all we want to do with it is copy it into our clipboard and then go back to the widget settings that we've been before. Now in the third widget, we are going to add another text widget. So I add it to the footer in the third widget. And yeah, instead of text, we just put a title of contact here. Instead of text, we copy, or we rather paste, the contact form shortcode in here that we just copied. And this will transform into an amazing contact form on our website without any further actions by us. So we just save it, close it, and now our footer is done. And before it will actually be visible, we have to activate it in the theme options. So there is a menu for it, footer options, show sub footer, and the footer is actually where the text goes at the moment. So we can say something like copyright, and then maybe my name, copyright 2015, and so on, something like this. You know what I mean. This is very helpful as well. So show the SERP footer, the widget area, it already says here. Then we click on save, and now let's open our website in a new tab. And at the very bottom we have this amazing website footer visible. Our social icons have this amazing hover effect. Of course they don't link anywhere, but this can be easily filled out. And here we have this contact form, which has also some amazing click effects. When we click here, where you can add a message and you can send it, and you as a website owner would receive this email, actually this contact. And yeah, I didn't show you this, but when you go to contact form and then you, for example, go to edit of the form 1, and then in the mail tab you automatically entered your email, or it is automatically entered by WordPress, and whenever somebody tries to contact you via this contact form on your website, it gets automatically delivered to your personal email box. Now the footer area is finished. We have this copy right here at the bottom. We could add many amazing plugins here, but that would just take too much time. I think we should move on. We should add more things to the website, like a menu and more pages that, for example, link to our fleet. That would be amazing, right? Okay, so let's just do it. So let's create a new page. We go to pages and say add new. And the name of the new page should be fleet, because this is where we present all of our boats that are available for renting for our clients. And I saved it as a draft, and it takes a moment, and then this Visual Composer also loads in. And I want to add a row. Of course, you should be familiar with this by now, and I want to add tabs to it. Because like in the start page that we created now, I want to have this tab option here. I don't want to have two different pages for the yards, because I mean, they are both boats and they should be presented on one page, but separated by tabs, like we did earlier on. So I do the same separation here with the tab, and this should also be the same titles here. I say motor yachts, and I give the second tab a name of sailing yachts. Please correct me if these are actually wrong terms for these kind of boats, but that's not the point here. Okay, so one other thing that I want to do is to have an image for the title section, because what will happen is it looks a little bit different than the start page. In the start page you just have this image here, and on the sub pages I don't want to have a big image as a title image or anything, or at least I don't want to have a slider, call to action stuff. It should look slightly different. Well, I can actually give you, of course, a glimpse of how I edited into my demo page. Here is the title bar, and here you have this breadcrumbs, how you call it. You have the path from home to fleet. So this is basically exactly the hierarchy of our pages. And for this, because yeah, of course we need to have some kind of an image on the top, because if it was just blank white or something, this transparent header wouldn't make any sense, and we would waste this amazing feature. So of course, let's add one great picture as background here. And yeah, we just do it by selecting or uploading an image as a background for the title bar. So I need to upload a new image to do that, and I saved it under fleet already. Is it this picture? Yes, it should be this picture. I just select it here. And yeah, it is 1200 pixels wide, because that's always a good size for most of the screens, but it's also slightly too big, but should look alright. And it should cover, image will cover the whole title bar. That's correct. And we could even add an additional parallax effect here, but I don't want it to make too fancy, so let's just leave it like this, and we also publish the page immediately. And let's continue adding rows or elements to this page now. So I move on a little bit quicker, because it is nothing different than the things that we did on the first web page. What I want to do is here have on the left a photo of the boat, and on the right some text about the boat, like a header and then some bullet points, and then a button like book now this boat or book this boat now or something like this. So all I want to do is to create this row once and then copy it many times in order to to just change the photos and the text for the other boats. So we start with the motor yachts. I want to have this one as the first picture. It is actually slightly too big for this because we don't want to display it so large, but that's not too important here. Of course, here again, choose full size and alignment should be center, and then click on Save Changes. And in the right part, you add a text block, and the name of the first boat will be Silver Spirit, and it is important, or I want to have the headline as header to make it a little bit bigger, and then we have some text about the boat, and then we have some bullet points about the boat itself to make it more visible, how that boat stands out in comparison to all the other ones. And at the bottom of this boat profile, I want to have a button, and instead of click me, it should just say simple book now. The button alignment should be centered, size is medium, and the rest should stay as it is. And what we are going to do now is, instead of making this all again, we just clone this row. We do it twice because we have totally 3 boats of the motor yachts, at least for this demo. And all I want to do is change the images here. And I already uploaded the images in between 2 takes. So don't worry that you missed something or something. Don't worry. The text of the second boat, of course, need also to be changed. And the name of this boat is Endurance. It's a little bit bigger than the Silver Spirit. The button will still say book now. And then I also changed the image of the third boat. And this is even a little bit bigger. I save it. And the text of this boat will be this one. And the name is Excelsior. Looks great. Looks great. And in between those profiles, I will add a couple of horizontal lines. So I just say this separator, and I leave everything as it is because I know it looks brilliant already. And I put those in between the profiles on the full length. And this one between this one and this one. And I will preview the boats, the fleet. And this is how they look. First of all, we have our amazing title bar image here. And we have this motor yachts tab. First of all, the Silver Spirit, then amazingly this horizontal lines right in the middle between the profiles. We have this text and this book now button, which of course doesn't link anywhere so far. And then we have these amazing photos of the boats. By the way, I did it on purpose that this is not the full width. You could change it yourself to your liking, but I think on this page it looks a little bit better to have also some white space on the left and right and on the bottom. So I just leave it like it is. So I will save this website for now. And I will do the same for the sailing yachts. And I just skip a little bit ahead because this will be nothing else than the first step as well. And I don't want to waste any time of you. See you in a second. Okay, I also implemented the same elements for the sailing yachts now. I have the Azimuth 2 with an amazing view from above in this green sea. Then I have the Don Rodriguez with amazing photo as well. And then the Sete Mares with this amazing photo of this small sailing boat. Now, visitors can navigate between those two. They are both visible, and it just looks fantastic to me. I mean, it's a very simple website, but it shows the whole portfolio of this imaginary yacht renting business. I think this is really, really wonderful. And how long did we just take to implement this second website? This was really, really quick. Now let's just quickly connect these buttons on both of these tabs with the new web page. And then this is done as well. So let's update this page and let's go back to the start page that we created before. And the connection is also very easy. Let's just go to the tab. Where was it? It's here. And then in the action box, all we need to do is here button link. We said select the URL. We can also say open link in a new tab, but because he is internally switching to a new site, we don't want to do that, but we could of course easily do that, just to let you know. So we click on Fleet here and we can just set the link and save the changes. And we will do the same for the second action box here. We set the link to Fleet and then it's gone. So we update it, and when we now navigate from our web page, we have to update this web page actually. And when we now navigate from any of these, we already see at the very bottom here in the status bar, we can see the link overyacht.com/fleet. So we already have the permalinks with the post name or page name activated. Actually, I don't remember that I changed that, but maybe it is default. That's great. And we get immediately to this great new website. Now, what is missing, of course, it's still the menu here. Let's change this as fast as possible because it's so essential. Let's go to appearance and menus. This is a WordPress default feature, so most of you should be familiar with this. I just call it main menu. Exactly. Create the menu, and then I just add both of these pages that are available here to my menu. So far I have home and fleet. That is enough. I save it again and manage locations. The main menu should be the main menu, of course, and then I save changes. And when we now look on our page, we have this amazing navigation menu as well, where we can easily navigate between the pages and back. Okay, what I want to do next is to create another page which is used to contact us. So we just call it contact. This is an essential page that all businesses that I know, of course, need to be implemented in their page. And yeah, let's just quickly finish this as well. So as always, we add a row element, and instead of the 50-50 division, we just use this 2/3 and 1/3 division. And in the left element, we will add a contact element. So this is quite obvious, and it might seem a bit ridiculous because actually what we have here, we always have this contact form element in the footer, so it is a bit weird that of course we have an entire contact page, but because the contact form in the footer is also a bit hidden, it's always good to have an entire page that is responsible for contacting. So you can see here the receiver email is already my email address. This is very, very handy. So this makes sure that all of the contact requests by anybody who visits your website get directly redirected to your email box. And we will change the button alignment to center. We will leave the rest as it is, and most of the things are quite self-explanatory. It is a bit like the contact form 7. You can say whether the fields are required or not, and we can just leave them all as required. Maybe the phone should not be required because the button will look as usual. It's this purple color that we use as the primary color on our page. And here in the right part, we want to have, first of all, a title. And on the top, it should say social. And we make it a heading 3. We actually call it social media. And I save it. Then afterwards, we add a separator. We just leave it like it is. And then we add some social links, similar to the ones we also have in the bottom already. So as before, I will just maybe no email, but for Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, and YouTube, well, it doesn't matter. I just enter any, and then you can also change the icon alignment. I will leave them as left, I guess, and the button size should be medium, and then I save. And afterwards, I add another text, and I call this contact info. And here I want to display more contact information. And I also want to make this a heading 3. Of course, it should be the same size. And what I also forgot about the separator, because at the moment it's visible, it should actually not be visible. So this is also an interesting feature here. you can make it invisible, and then it's just a little bit of a space. So it's similar to this empty space element. And yeah, I also want to add it in between here. And below this contact info label, I want to add icon boxes, a couple of them. And they should have an icon, but first I want to add the icon box content, or rather the title. It shouldn't have any content because the title just means it is bigger text. And as you see here, the icon box content is optional. It doesn't look like something's missing if you just have the title here. So as an icon, I want to add a little house, because this is the address of our business. And I want to add a little house that should characterize an address. So we change it, save it, I mean, and then you just duplicate it twice. And I want to add the telephone number and also email address for maybe here first the email address. So the icon that I use here is with mail instead in the end, and the content would be then, or the title rather, would be my email address, and the rest will stay as it is. And the last one will be basically the same, but with phone in the end, and you get a little phone icon, and here a telephone number. Let's just add any random numbers here. Okay, and now let's definitely save this draft and also publish it to make sure we keep these amazing settings that we just created. And I also want to preview our changes, and I'm excited if it looks as great as I expected. Well, it doesn't. We still have to change a little bit here. Let's quickly do this for all of these. Of course, I could have done that before I duplicated them. Anyway, the icon position should be left, and then we have a nice little row of this icon elements. Here also to the left, and here was something wrong. This looks okay. Space is all right between here, but there is one thing of course missing. This is the title bar, and I want to add an image as well here. I'll use a unique one that we didn't use before, and this one will be in the contact folder. I have this one. It's not the brilliant choice, but it's another boat connected little photo. I think this is all right, and just has a little cozy interior photo of a boat, of a yacht, and this is how it looks. Of course, this could be better with the colors. The title bar title should be white instead. Anyway, let's concentrate on those elements here. I think this looks good. It could be smaller, and there is something wrong with the third icon. So let's quickly change this. This is the right one, communication phone, and the icon size should rather be small instead for the 3 icon boxes. Okay, if you preview it again, this is all looking great now. It's all in one line except the address, and that's also fine, and the rest is also looking fine. When you click on this element, you can see how nicely it slides away the text, and it's really looking great. Okay, so the last thing that we want to do for this page is just edit it to our menu as well, because it's not existent in the navigation bar. So we just click here on contact and edit to the menu as well. Then we click on save, and we have a look at our website in all its beauty. So we open it in a new tab, and here we go. So we can easily also navigate to our contact page here, and we can see how beautiful it looks. Right, let's go home to the start page, and the last thing that I want to do is to replace this background image that I added in the very beginning of this video with a revolution slider. So there will be a couple of pages that automatically change and present different beautiful photos of boats. There will still be this text on top of it, and there will still be this button. They might look a little bit different, but that doesn't matter. They still look amazingly good. But before I start with this, I want to show you that I already made a video about the slider revolution 5 actually. I explain in 20 minutes, very, very detailed, all the functionalities, all the options that you have in the slider revolution, because it can be a little bit confusing for beginners especially. And yeah, in this video I will create an amazing slider for our website, but I will not be very, very detailed about all the functionalities. Of course, I will explain you every single step, but if you need even more details, you can just have a look at my old video as well. Okay, so all I did now is I created a new slider, and then we come to this page here. This is the version 5 of the slider revolution, and it looks a little bit different than the previous versions of this slider. And many people are, especially in the beginning, a little bit overwhelmed by all the functions, all the options that you have here to edit and customize your slider. And I can really understand that. It takes some time to get used to it. But what I want to say to you is, don't get confused, don't get overwhelmed. It's actually not that difficult. I guide you through the steps you need to do here to create an amazing slider. So in the very beginning, in the top, you just leave it as the default slider selection, and in this text fields here in the second option, all you have to do is to type in any name for your slider, like in the contact form 7 that we created before. This will not be displayed anywhere of your website, so it actually doesn't matter. All it does here is creating this shortcode that we add to a text element in our header section. In this third option, I want to use the standard slider because I know that already looks really, really good, and I want to load a preset, which is the full width preset here. This little information just said that we successfully selected this, and here on the very right, a little bit hidden if you ask me, are the buttons to save this slider. So we click on this, and we get guided to this screen where we see our new slider, and we click on it to select it and to add slides to it. So we are already in the settings for the first slide. There is no image, and this is what we're going to do now, is we click on this button here and select a background image for this slide. We can add more slides here, which we will do in a moment. So all we need to do here is add an image to our slide, and I will use the background image that we added earlier to our website as the first slide. I just click on insert and I will save this slide. Before we go into detail of the slide settings, I will add all of the other slides in the same fashion, and I will just quickly skip this step for you. Okay, I added 2 more slides, and I will quickly show you how to add the last one. I again go to this button and upload the last slide for our slider, which will be this boat here. Click on insert, and then I click on save. And now we have 4 beautiful slides in our slider. And before we further customize those, I want to save again, just in case. And I will go back to the slider settings. I'll copy the shortcode of the slider, and I will go back to the start page settings here. Click on home and edit. And in this very top row, which displays our background image at the moment, I just get rid of this empty space, of this action box, and also of this empty space. And all I want to do is add a text block here, and in this text block I add the shortcode of our slider. I click on save changes, and I also get rid of the background image that is attached to the row. So I just click on this red cross here and save changes. I update the page and preview our slider. And here we go. It looks very, very similar to the background image that we had before, but the difference is that we have a number of different slides now. We have 4 different slides that present wonderful, beautiful boats, and we have these bullets to navigate between them, all these arrows on both sides of the screen. Really, really beautiful. And you can already see this fading effect between the slides. This is the default settings. Really, really beautiful. So everything else looks the same, just the slider has been added and replaced the background image. Okay, so let's go into customizing our slider. I first update the page again, and in the slider settings you can find countless ways of customizing your slider to your liking. And I just quickly want to introduce you to some of the most important and most interesting settings that you can make here. So in the general settings, you can go to defaults and, for example, can change the default slide duration, so the time one slide is presented. So at the moment it's in 9,000 milliseconds, which is very, very slow. So we could just change it to 6,000, and we save the settings, and I'll let you play around with all of these other settings here. Just have a look what you can do. One more important thing and very, very interesting thing is, of course, with the navigation, you can just change the default look of these arrows and of the bullets and also of tabs and all these kind of things. Is just too much to show here. You can disable the arrows, and yeah, you can just change the style. I don't like this default style too much, but this Uranus style is very, very simple and easy, and it looks really, really good. You can also change the style of the bullets, and I also change it to Uranus, which is also very simple. And I save the settings, and I go back to the slide editor. And now I want to add a few effects to each of the slides. So if you look here in these settings, you can just go to the Ken Burns effect. And maybe you have heard of this effect already, which is really, really beautiful as well. We can add some motion effects to the rather static slides of our slider. And especially 2 or rather 3 of these settings here are especially important for us. So the first one is the scale. If we change any of these numbers here, if we change the second number here, then we can create the effect of zooming into the picture. So if I just change this to 120 for the first slide, it will zoom to 120% of the original size of the photo. And with the offsets, we can additionally make the image shift horizontally or vertically from the center. And what I want to do is shift horizontally 100 pixels. So I save the slide and I preview the slider how it looks now. Here we go. Here, this is the Ken Burns effect. You can see that the image is sliding in and it's also shifting horizontally. The duration of the slider should be adjusted to the slide duration as well, because this way the fading and the Ken Burns effect will start and stop at the same time. So I also save the slider and have a look at it again. So now it slides in and is shifting horizontally, and then almost in the same moment the next slice appears. Let's add the Ken Burns effect also to the other slides. So in the Ken Burns effect, we turn it on and then change here to 140%, and then let the horizontal shifting be 200 to 0, and also change the duration to 6,000 milliseconds. We save the slide. Go to the third slide. We turn it on and say also 100 to 140, but this time we don't want any offset. It should just zoom into the center. And in the fourth slide as well, we turn on the Ken Burns effect and change this to 140%. The horizontal offset should be 0 to 100 pixels, and the vertical offset should be 0 to 50. So it's also changing its position in the vertical way. Now let's have a look at that. The first slide, we already seen that. The second slide, just in the center. And the third one also, just in the center. And the fourth one, a little bit to the side. And also vertically. Really beautiful. So the last thing that is missing is this call to action button here in the middle. We go back to our slider settings. And if you look further below, you have this big preview photo of the slide appearance. So I want to have a look for the first slide. And actually for my MacBook, it's a little bit too big here. Anyway, I just want to demonstrate to you. You could use this button here to add elements to this slide. And if you change this via the option when you are in one of the slides, you just add elements to this slide and only this slide. So you could add any text, any image, any button, or even videos on top of that as an additional layer. This is really nice, but what I want to do is add a so-called global layer to all of our slides at once. So I click on this static global layers, and we don't select anything off here because we could select any of the slides to be our global layer. We don't want to do that, however. And now I have to change the size of my browser display a little bit, so I can click on view and zoom out to have all this screen visible. And now I have this whole slide preview visible, which is of course empty. It's just a transparent background. And I will add some elements to it now. So I click on this little button here, or just hover over it, and I want to add first a line of text. So the first line of text should be the highest of traveling. So you can already see here the default size is quite big. It's 60 pixels, and this is alright, but I don't want this serif font here. I want to use Roboto. And then it's changed to the Roboto font, and I want the color to be white. So when I have this text here, I can just use one of these little elements here to align it on the screen. So I want to align it center horizontally and also vertically. I add another line of text, which is the subline of the text that we had before, and this should be 22 pixels. Should also be wide, and it should also be Roboto. I also align it horizontally, and it should be just below the headline. And then I can click on alignment again. So below these two lines of text, I want to add a button, as you saw in the preview of my demo page before. And here you have a big choice of pre-made buttons already. You don't have to create them all yourself. And as you just saw before here, you can also add hover states and text to it and all kind of things. It's really, really handy. Now I want it to be a bit bigger, but first I want to change the text to get on board, as you saw earlier. So with the button selected, I go into the settings here. And first of all, it should also be aligned horizontally. And then this little plus here gives me many more options for this button. Actually, what I just want to change is the padding around the button text. So it should be bigger on top. I just enter 20 maybe even 30 pixels on the bottom as well. And left and right, it should be about 40. I will also change the font size of the button. At the moment it's 17 and should be at least, well, I just go for 30 pixels. I think this looks really good, and just to make sure, I align it again and I save the slider. Now this was really, really quick, but we save the settings now and we go back to the page and we preview our slider again. And now we have this text on top. And when we change the slides, the text will be the same because we made it as a global layer, which also is a really nice effect. So we can promote the same product or the same service, just the renting service of our fleet here on all of the slides. Of course, you can see here that this is a little bit smaller because I changed the view of the browser. So I can just click on actual size here, and this is how it would actually look. Now, of course, the text is not perfectly readable on all slides, but I think this is still a very nice effect, and especially the dark slides show this text really, really good. So if you want to connect the button to a link or to any page of your website, you select the button and you go on top here to actions. And then you can just click on this little plus and add a new action. I just want to add a simple link. Now you can just enter www.overyacht.com and then to any of your services. So let's assume Fleet, because we don't have too many other pages here. I save the slider, and when we then go to our slider, reload the page, and when we click on the button, we directly get to our Fleet page. Okay, well, this is the end of this tutorial now. I really hope you learned something in this video, and I also hope that you enjoyed it. Now, if you have any questions, any technical issues, any problems making your own website, then please let me know. I'm very happy to help you. In general, I hope you feel comfortable enough to create your own amazing website that looks just as good or even better than this example website that I showed to you. And yeah, as I said, just contact me for any matters. Just leave a comment under this video or drop me a personal message. In the description, I leave you all the links for the themes, for the hosting, and for any of the plugins that I use, like the Visual Composer and Slider Revolution, in case you want to install it individually. I will also leave you all the values and settings that I used in this website. Feel free to copy this website, to use any of the photos you find on this web page, and to copy this text that I used in here. Ask me anything if it's unclear, and let me know how you liked the video. I want to thank you very much for watching, and it would be great if you could subscribe my channel as well. See you later.